Those were the visuals of the Maha Kumbh Mela on the occasion of Maghi Purnima. We will tell you all about how the world's largest religious gathering has generated $23 billion to the state of Uttar Pradesh. Hello there, you are watching Inside South Asia with me, Dasuni Athauda, and here's what we have in store for you this week.
Superior.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the United States of America. This is the first meeting between Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi since Trump took office for his second term as president. The Trump-Modi meetup is sure to set the tones for ties between the US and India. Before he flew to the US, PM Modi was in France, where he co-hosted the Artificial Intelligence Action Summit with French President Emmanuel Macron. The Indian Prime Minister stressed the need to build quality data sets free from biases in order to benefit the world.
Hold the key.
He stressed that artificial intelligence could cater to the public, underscoring its potential to create jobs. PM Modi said global governance that builds trust and upholds mutual values is necessary for artificial intelligence. The Indian Prime Minister also said India is ready to host the next AI summit. India and France have also planned to work together on developing small modular nuclear reactors. The two countries agreed also to boost defense cooperation with procurement of missiles, submarines, engines for aircrafts and helicopters, and jointly working on projects in third world countries.
Thank you.
Interestingly, the US and UK have not signed the Paris AI Summit's declaration entitled Statement on Inclusive and Sustainable Artificial Intelligence. US Vice President J.D. Vance adopted a more confrontational tone and warned European allies against over-regulating the artificial intelligence sector. He also warned China against using the technology to tighten its grip on citizens and allies. As India takes charge of being more responsible with the use of artificial intelligence and its power, its development is being noted on the ground too. The country's vast farming population, which has been beset with a number of problems, is taking baby steps to use artificial intelligence in order to maximize output. Here's the story.
For pomegranate farmer Al Murali, artificial intelligence-driven farming has meant a paradigm shift in daily routine. An app on his smartphone, Fasal, that means crop yield, guides him on plantation watering needs, fertilizer addition, and pesticides. All this has translated into massive savings, and that's a 20% drop in costs and 20% rise in revenue from sales.
We receive weather reports which prove to be highly beneficial. By keeping these four factors, water management, pesticide spraying, fertilization, and weather updates, under control, we're able to achieve a good crop yield. All of these aspects are effectively managed by the device.
AI startup Fasal, which serves around 12,000 farmers, is a hit in areas around capital Bengaluru. Fasal's founder began developing the system in 2017 to understand soil moisture as a do-it-yourself project for his father's farm. That has now evolved into harnessing AI systems.
So what we have built is a technology that allows crops to talk to their farmers, which is essentially their doctors, and tell them what they're feeling. When they're feeling thirsty, so they irrigate. When they're feeling hungry, so they fertigate. And when they are feeling sick, because of change in climatic conditions. So they understand and treat them before they get more sick and they get damaged.
Another agri-tech startup, Nico Robotics, uses AI cameras attached to focus chemical spraying machines. Each plant is assessed to provide the ideal amount of chemicals, reducing input costs and limiting environmental damage. Or AI monitors measuring the health of beehives. At Bee Price's farm, moisture, temperature, even the sound of bees are used to track the queen bee's activities. Technology entering the picture is only part of the battle won, though. The challenge is making AI-based farming technologies available to more farmers. Fossil's products cost between $57 to $287 to install, out of reach for most. New Delhi has said it is determined to develop homegrown and low-cost AI for agriculture. Farms are in dire need of investment and modernization. Experts stress the need for the government funding for the AI push to become a success.
If and only if this condition is satisfied, that is, the state owns the entire cost, then it's possible. If the farmer has to contribute to the cost, it's unlikely to be draining down.
India has over 450 agri-tech startups. A 2023 report by the Niti Aayog valued them at $23 billion. But it also warned of lack of digital literacy as a big hurdle. These agri-tech startups have a huge responsibility, repairing India's agriculture sector beset by a host of problems. Artificial intelligence holds out hope.
There's much more to the Maha Kumbh Mela than the religious fervor and, well, the large crowds. Combine these two factors and there's no denying of the massive opportunities and economies of scale at play. This 450 million religious gathering paves the way for massive marketing opportunities and big revenue. Take a look.
We're 1 month into the biggest gathering of mankind on the planet ever. Mystics to millionaires, farmers and their families, urban elite and rural dwellers, north, south, east and west, people pouring in from around the world. No borders, no limits here. Visitors say the religious and spiritual fervor, despite the massive rush, is magical. Yet there can be no missing out on a very conspicuous spin-off, the economics of it, and that too is bigger than ever before at the Maha Kumbh 2025. 450 million people, and every one of them need food and lodging and a host of other amenities, however luxurious or basic. The sheer numbers are mind-boggling. The Confederation of All India Traders anticipates that the 2025 Maha Kumbh could generate close to 2 trillion rupees, that's $23 billion for Uttar Pradesh state. Tourism and hospitality service providers, local hotels, guest houses and lodges are expected to generate around $4.6 billion. Helicopter services offering aerial tours are projected to earn $4 million every day. Railways, airlines, buses, taxis and auto rickshaws benefit from higher passenger volumes. Local businesses, artisans and souvenir sellers see increased sales due to high footfall. Tea stalls making millions every day, plastic sheet sellers, water can stalls, towels, tooth cleaners, the list goes on and on, all cashing in big on the economies of scale. Not just the small fish, corporate houses in India and worldwide see business opportunity like never before. Global heavyweights Nestle, Coca-Cola, Reliance, Hindustan Unilever, Reckitt Beckinser and many more all look to make a mark on the consumer psyche. Streets leading to bathing banks along the river, the roads of Prayagraj city itself are lined with billboards and vendors and branded resting spots. Independent brand consultant Harish Bijur predicts that companies will spend $310 million on advertising and marketing. Over the last several months, the local government has pumped in close to 75 billion rupees, the equivalent of some $860 million, on infrastructure development and logistical arrangements for Prayagraj. Roads, bridges, sanitation, housing and more have benefited immensely. These will be gains that the city will carry forward. Multiple dimensions and potentials will emerge. Not just a religious event, the Maha Kumbh is an economic powerhouse. It's for the administration and the city's residents to make the most of it ahead.
It's been 6 months since the Muhammad Yunus government took charge. Looking back, there has been more failures and hopes being dashed in the wake of aspiring for reform and change in the country in the wake of Sheikh Hasina's exit. Political instability stands out while there still appears to be no proper government formed. Here's the story.
Mob rampage at the ancestral home of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the founding father of Bangladesh, in Dhaka last week. Days later, what the administration called Operation Devil Hunt, a crackdown after violent clashes between anti-Sheikh Hasina protesters and locals in Ghazipur. Over 1,300 people were arrested. Again, the outcome of Hasina's ministers being targeted by violent mobs. Fact is, an apparent anti-Hasina vendetta drive has picked up huge pace in Bangladesh these last few weeks, as Muhammad Yunus's original goals of reforms increasingly take a back seat. And instability has taken center stage again. Six months back, there were big hopes when microfinance pioneer Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus had stepped in. To his credit, he brought in at least a semblance of stability. The economy was moving again. There were steps to rebuild reserves, reform banking and retrieve bad loans. Mob violence was down. The instability seemed to be easing.
So the first issue that Professor Yunus's government or interim government had to deal with is the complete breakdown of the institutions and processes, so that he inherited from the previous government and the July-August upheavals, mass uprising that took place. So as a consequence of that, all the institutions, civil service, police, and other law enforcement was completely, I would say, completely disabled. So he had to reorganize the whole institutional process. And then the second challenge came because the situation came as a consequence of a mass upsurge or mass uprising. The popular demand was to restore democratic rights, restore human rights, and making justice for the crimes committed during the July-August and before that also.
But the honeymoon was short, too short. His 6 months at the helm are remembered for other things. Law and order and public safety have hit rock bottom. Several Bangladeshi police officers have refused to report for duty. Anti-Hasina activists continue to create ruckus. For all its promise till just a year or so back, the economy is tottering. The US has cut off aid. According to data released by an independent organization, inflation is falling but is still close to double digits. GDP growth between July and December 2024 was less than 2%. FDI fell 71%. No good news on the human rights front either. Amid targeting of journalists, media freedom groups have urged fair trial and upholding of procedural rights. Human Rights Watch has demanded legal detention practices and repeal of laws used to target critics. Yunus drew big flack from his biggest neighbor India on the issue of failing to protect religious and ethnic minorities from attacks and harassment. He cited political reasons for the attacks. Many raised concerns on rise of radical Islamist groups after Hasina was removed. What has stood out is a distinct pro-Pakistan tilt. Bangladesh easing visa restrictions for Pakistanis and the growing bonhomie between the two raises big security concerns for India.
This generation which has done this or brought in this generational shift, they are all Bangladeshi. They have never seen Pakistan in their lifetime. So they don't know no connection with Pakistan. So Bangladesh is not going back, it is going forward. The locational issue here is very important, location of Bangladesh. So we understand our intimate relationship that we have with all the neighbors, India, China, Pakistan. Relationship with Pakistan was not there during the last 15 years. Now it is seen to be a little bit on the active because of the fact that there was nothing. Now it is coming back to perhaps a normal relationship.
Perhaps the biggest problem stems from there being no clarity on the road ahead on promised reforms. Yunus's government still has no formal mandate. Again, he cites the need for political reforms first. He's promised elections by the end of the year, but the promises remain wishy-washy at best. Whether it is Yunus clinging on or another dispensation, there are big challenges ahead. Uncertainty on ties with the White House, the border crisis with Myanmar, and more weigh heavy. The rocky road for Bangladesh is far from over.
Breathtaking formations, high-speed maneuvers, and cutting-edge aviation technology. Up next, we bring you the highlights of Aero India 2025, which was hosted in the city of Bengaluru.
Aero India 2025 has gotten off to a flying start at Air Force Station Yelahanka near Bengaluru. There'll be 70 aircraft, in fact different types of aircraft, helicopters, fighters and transporters that will be performing flying maneuvers over here. In addition to that, there are 30 aircraft lined up along the tarmac here as part of the static display. This is the only air show in the world to feature two fifth-generation fighter aircraft, the American Lockheed Martin F-35 and the Russian origin Sukhoi Su-57 aircraft. Both of them battled it out over Bengaluru skies and enthralled the audience over here at Air Force Station Yelahanka.
Gone are the days where the residents of Gwadar in the Pakistani province of Balochistan remained relatively unaffected due to the effects of climate change. After decades, the people are now battling a series of climate-related events that include severe droughts, dust storms, and most importantly, flooding. Here's the story.
Built on dunes, the city of Gwadar, bordered by the Arabian Sea on three sides. Global warming has resulted in bigger and more powerful waves, which get whipped higher by summer monsoon winds. Experts believe that the low elevation of the peninsular town renders it vulnerable to climate change.
The situation in Gwadar is no less than that of an island nation. What we witnessed in COP29 recently, where they, island nations, pointed out they don't have enough funding. While Gwadar isn't an island, it's a peninsula, bordered on three sides by the Arabian Sea, but it's a low-lying coastal area. So our situation is not less than that of island nations. In the future, it's going to get worse.
In future, it is going to be more worse.
Additionally, warmer air also holds more moisture, about 7% more per degree Celsius, translating into more big rain events. Recently, Pakistan has witnessed its share of catastrophes due to the adverse effects of climate change. Last February, for almost 30 consecutive hours, Gwadar was battered by rain. Roads and bridges were washed off and lines of communication were severed, which briefly cut off the town from the rest of Pakistan. Still today, many homes bear the mark of destruction writ large upon them. In the neighborhood of Shadowband, local councillor Qadir Bakhsh still grapples with the issue of water seeping up through the ground and into his courtyard every day, forcing him to use a generator to extract it.
In
the past, when it rained, the water disappeared up to 10 days later. But the rain that came last year hasn't gone. The water rises from the ground with such speed that it will reach the four walls of my home if we don't run the generator every day to extract it.
Officials cite land use changes and unauthorized urbanization as factors worsening overground flooding. Locals, however, blame the major construction projects for the destruction of traditional drainage pathways. Gwadar is the centerpiece of a massive Chinese-led Belt and Road initiative aimed at creating an overland route between the western Xinjiang region and the Arabian Sea through Gwadar. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been pumped into the coastal town to create a deep seaport, an international airport, expressways, and other infrastructure. But despite a decade of foreign investment, residents complain of no proper sewage or drainage system. In addition to this, Gwadar's fishing community has been adversely affected. The catches are smaller, native fish are disappearing, and migration patterns and fishing seasons have changed.
If we go
back 5 or 6 years, the number of fish in the sea was much higher. The biggest reason for that was that there were no illegal fishing trawlers back then. These trawlers use a fishing net, called wire net, which scoops everything from the sea, even rocks and plants. This is how trawlers are causing the genocide of our fish.
Illegal fishing and foreign trawlers are no doubt responsible, but rising sea temperatures have played a decisive hand. Additionally, global warming has led to more evaporation, which dries out soil and vegetation, leading to drought, a phenomenon increasingly being witnessed in Gwadar and the wider Balochistan province. Consequently, the Arabian Sea, once considered a blessing for the port city, has turned into a veritable curse, posing an existential threat to the lives and livelihoods of the residents of Gwadar.
And that's all we have for you on our show this week. Before we leave, take a look at the elephants taking part at the Nava Mahaperahara here in Colombo. Have a look at these gentle giants, and I will join you again next week.